discuss. We will discuss what some neighborhoods are doing to make their communities socially, environmentally, and economically healthy. Again, thank you for joining us today. And now, Beverly Perkins, the supervisor of corporate social responsibility, will introduce our guest today. Beverly.
Thank you, Gail, and welcome everyone. As Gail said, this is our final session for the year. In the past sessions, we've really sort of dealt with utility related issues, but we wanted to return to the foundation of what the Neighborhood Leaders Conference has always been about, which is about developing strong neighborhoods. And we have got some great speakers here today to talk about a topic that is always of interest to our neighborhood organizations, and that's really about blight. And so we've got three dynamic speakers. I'm sure none of them are strangers to you all because they are very active in the neighborhoods and in the community. Brittany Thornton, who's a change agent. She's a native Memphian from the historic Orange Mound neighborhood, a licensed social worker, a licensed education, and a former law student. Brittany has found her passion as a community organizer. She's a graduate of Baylor University and of the University of Pennsylvania, and she enjoys eating good food because she lives in Memphis and we know there's plenty of it, and traveling to new countries. And Brittany is the founder of the nonprofit Juice Orange Mound. Janet Boscarino, I'm sure a lot of you all have worked with her over the years. She's the co-founder and the executive director of Clean Memphis. She has over 20 years of experience in business development, and she serves on the policy committee of Building Memphis. She's a co-chair of the sustainability committee for Memphis 3.0, and she's a community engagement leader for the Blight Elimination Steering Team. She has an undergraduate degree in journalism and a master's in leadership and nonprofit management from the University of Memphis. And so Janet really has a really exciting topic to talk about. She, technology is touching everything. And now she's going to talk about an app, and it's how technology is even affecting cleanups these days. And last but not least, we've got Kate Kananura. And Kate is going to be talking about something that I thought was really innovative. She's from the Binghampton neighborhood, and they have created a community land trust. And this is really, really exciting. Kate is a special projects manager at the Center for Transforming Communities, where she's served for 6 years. She holds a master's of public administration. She started her community development career as a neighborhood organizer in 2006. So like a lot of you all, she's had the boots on the ground, and she's served in various capacities. She's currently building her organization's pipeline for neighborhood capital projects and introducing shared equity models to residents and partners. We ask that throughout the day, if you have any questions, put them in the Q&A. Our goal is to answer questions at the end, but if some pop up and we feel like they really need to be addressed as the speaker is up, we will do them then. But with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Brittany.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for that introduction. It's excited to be able to be in such esteemed company. I'm super excited to be here and to just give kind of just a high-level overview of the work that we are doing here in Orange Mound. I'm biased. I view it as innovative work that is really leading when it comes to helping us be able to organize this historic community of Orange Mound. So the nonprofit is called Juice Orange Mound. Our theme is change for change. That's what we really are working our way towards manifesting here in the work. And so we can go to the next slide. This presentation is really geared around just making things a little bit more interactive. So folks that are in the space listening, we encourage you to use the chat feature just to answer the questions, just to kind of break the ice. So I'm hoping that today we can really understand personally my why and just how my upbringing in Orange Mound has really impacted the work that I get to do now. For you to walk away knowing that there are passionate leaders in Orange Mound and that it's a community that is definitely on the rise, and there's a team of us that are super excited about preserving this historic community, which is the oldest Black community in the city of Memphis, established in 1890. And then hopefully for people who are just trying to think about ideas that they can replicate, for you to actually further your theory of change and to have some type of aha moment that will be conveyed at some point. Next slide. So just a quick check-in, whenever you're hearing any of us speak, it's just important to remember that we're all coming from different places. So if you could, in the chat, just drop maybe your hometown, your age, your impression of Orange Mound, maybe what neighborhood you're coming from, and then if you care, spirit change, because that'll be the focal point of what I have to say. And if I could just ask, just how long are we given to speak? Because I want to make sure to be respectful for the other speaker.
10 to 15 minutes.
Okay, perfect. Good. Next slide. So we'll blaze on through, but as we're going through these slides, I really hope that you view Orange Mound as a case study, that that there is again, some type of aha moment that connects the dots for you, that you walk away with fresh perspective, and then that there's some tension, because there's a lot of tension in this work. And so I hope that you're able to feel some of the breakdown that we're tasked with being, the solution for. And so just excited to have your thought and time to just hear the work that we're doing. You can keep going. All right, so as you're listening to me, understand that I'm bringing in a couple of different perspectives from my background in social work, having been a 7-year educator, and then identifying as a community organizer. I did have, a run at law school, and I consider myself to be privileged and frustrated. Both of those things are at the core of the work that I do. This $170,000 figure here was actually my student loans when it was 2014. That number has bumped up to $200,000. So just a glimpse into the organizer and then the speaker whose voice you're hearing today. Keep going. We're gonna have to blaze through these slides. Just a couple more pictures. I always think it's helpful before someone speaks about their role that you kind of get some context for who they are. And so some pictures just for reference. You can keep going. So I tell people often my upbringing in Orange Mound, a lot of people talk about the negatives in Orange Mound, but I came from a community when I was growing up of career educators, and these are pictures of my career educators from when I was in school. And I hope it's back, when I was in school. And so, I just challenged that potential misperception that Orange Mound for me growing up was always a place of lack, and that's not my experience. And so I'm grateful to them. And I feel like, the work that I do is building on the rich legacies and investments they had in me. You can keep going. You can keep going. So I paused just to ask everyone to think about their story. We're all coming to this work from different places. And so just really want you to think about how there's similarities or differences in what you've heard is my why and what kind of is my foundation. And you can keep going. I think the next couple of slides are going to be series of pictures that whoever's clicking, if you would just kind of click through them. I just want everyone to just kind of look at the images. So when I initially made this slide deck, when I Googled Orange Mound, these are some of the first slides that will pop up as being associated with the community. And so you can see that that there's an energy around those images. There's an impression that one would have if these were the only ones that someone saw. So you can imagine if someone is moving to the city and they're looking for a neighborhood, and they what would you associate with this community? Would this be a community of interest for you? The odds are that most people would think this maybe is not the first selection for the neighborhood that I would like to, personally be in, to raise my family, to make me feel safe and secure, and just, a new Memphian. So I'm going to show you another set of slides. So the person who is controlling could just kind of scroll through those next steps. So, if I had more time, then I would make it a little bit more drawn out. But you can see that the second set is clearly from our neighbor of Cooper Young. And so a completely different energy, completely different probably associations that you would have. Right, and I'm looking into the chat, also crime and poverty for the association with the first set, and then a different set of words for the next set. And so you can go on to the next slide. When we think about Orange Mound and where we hope to be, next slide, please. There was a crucial point for me as a young organizer to decide where I personally wanted to plant my roots. So I am a young adult, right? And I hope to have a family. I'm looking at communities with a different layer of scrutiny. And so I had to look at Orange Mound and to sit in the hard truth of the reality of how the community is and decide what I was going to do. So I've decided to stay. I've decided to make Orange Mound a place where I desire to live, work, and play. And that by no means has been an easy thing to do. And for me, the solution was to start this nonprofit, Juice Orange Mound. And so when I came back home at 24, Orange Mound was everything that a lot of people feel associated to be, but there had to be something that I believed in. And so as I was looking and weighing options, fair change was the thing that gave me hope. And you can just keep going. Let's see what the next slide says. We have been able to create, a vision of the bright future that we hope to have in Orange Mound because we've tested out this idea around spare change. And so a couple of years back, we did our very first canvas, sweeping the neighborhood to be able to collect spare change. And so that first canvas, we had 30 volunteers in 2 hours. We were able to do a third of the community. And if anyone can guess, how much do you think that we raised in spare change? You can drop it in the chat, or you can come to the TED Talk this Saturday and hear more about it. Okay, $45, Tanya, I see you. Anyone else have any other guesses? 500? Anybody? Maybe one more person? Thank y'all for y'all's engagement. We actually were able to raise $592. And so the great thing about this figure is that there's a lot of potential in it. Remember, I said 2 hours, 30 volunteers, a third of the community. So when you scale this figure up, you have the capacity to be able to raise so much more. And so I'm looking at more and more projections now. Orange Mound has over 3,500 parcels. Every house soon will have some type of figure on it. I really believe that for the future. So if you do the numbers and you see if every house gets $5 each time we canvass quarterly, we stand to raise well over $11,000 every quarter. And that can set a small nonprofit up to be able to have, a solid baseline when it comes to a budget that's homegrown. And so we call this a homegrown funding source. We think that it's something that is replicable, something that other neighborhoods can utilize and then leverage. The great thing about this is 502 can easily be turned into more when we go, say, to LGW and say, hey, Ms. Gail, we raised 592. Can you help us match it? And, Ms. Gail being the boss woman that she is, I know Orange Mound, I respect Orange Mound, sure, I'll match it. Before you know it, that 592 can turn into 1,200. And going to, someone else that could be another potential funder, you can continue to leverage that investment. And the great thing about fair change is that one, it adds up, and two, the method that we're using is one that involves all residents and allows you to be a part of it. So when you boil it down, whether you gave 75 cents or you gave $2, being a part of this figure now becomes a sense of ownership, and whatever project that you're targeting to be able to fund, now everyone gets a piece of the pie that they say that they contribute to help the community. So it's been a very liberating process for us. You can keep going. And I think that as I close here, there are some slides. I just left this in here just in case you want to try it. I often like to say, when we think about Bill Gates and we think about Warren Buffett, if you were to ask them, like, can I have your spare change? Who knows? How much you would get. Maybe you get $1,000. Spare change is so relative. And so it's a really beautiful ask to be able to ask someone for their spare change. It's really, something that people don't really have a lot of mindfulness of. You don't have to worry about people being like, you know, lots of conspiracy around people collecting spare change. People, it's so low that there seems to be a lot of trust in people's interests, and it doesn't discriminate. We've had elders, we've had high school students, we have people who identify as being, addicted to substances, or people who are just everyday people living on the streets. Spare change is something that everyone in a community, whatever the state of the community, they still have access to. So it's a really great thing. And with these new platforms like PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App, you have new and easy ways to be able to collect nominal amounts of money. You can keep going. Wrapping up here shortly, I think that it closes out with some images. So we have been able to do some really great community organizing, funding projects from using both spare change and just other donations from supporters to be able to continue to do our work. But definitely at the core for us is this movement around spare change, that we are excited to continue to build up to the potential, giving potential in our community. We feel that we're growing resident philanthropists, and we're just very excited to continue to mature those relationships, those giving relationships from residents. And so $5 is the price point, and we are excited to continue to canvas and meet people at their doorsteps to be able to contribute. So you can kind of click out the last remaining slides. I think we're saving questions for the end. These are all flyers from previous coordinated programming that we've been able to host. And yeah, there's lots of great things happening in Orange Mound. We encourage you to just, lean into the work that we're doing and continue to support the work that we have going on. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. And I look forward to hearing from both Janet and Kate. Thank you.
Thanks, Brittany. And I know we just want to remind people to enter your questions in the Q&A, but while people may be doing that, we'll come back to the end. I have a question, and I may have missed it. So is this literally spare change, and is it virtual, or are you going door to door? Sort of, what's the mechanism that the collection happens through?
Oh, for sure. We go door to door. There's no, Orange Mound doesn't really have very strong communication loops, so it's very hard to get the word out that you're doing something like this. So our vision is for us to be able to sweep every street. And if once our model is fully executed, then we'll be able to do that in an hour. It will take a large amount of volunteers cooperating. So we really consider ourselves to be in the relationship building phase, which is getting our people in position. So we have an infrastructure. If you go to our website, choose4orangemound.org, you can see the zone maps, and we're actively in the process of recruiting street captains. So we'll take it down to the street level, unite them into what we're calling the Orange Mound Street Assembly, and then activate them quarterly to be able to collect the spare change. So all of this is big vision, and we're working through the hurdles of manifesting that big vision. But we've already tested the idea out, and we know that people are willing to give, and we also know that the projections show that we can raise a substantial amount of money.
So $592 in nickels, dimes, quarters, and pennies.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Wow, I'm not even going to guess how much that weighs, but so if you've got questions for Brittany, please enter them in the Q&A. Meanwhile, we're going to go on to our next speaker. Janet, you're on.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Thanks, Beverly and Gail. It was great to hear an update from Brittany. We've done some work together, and she's doing amazing work in Orange Mound, and always excited to hear about the work she's doing, and great to share this time with Kate as well, and the great work that CTC is doing. So my name is Janet Boscabrino, and I'm the co-founder of Clean Memphis. And really our goal is to push Memphis to being the cleanest city that it can possibly be. We know we were recognized as one of the cleanest cities in the country years ago, and we're really working hard with partners to get us back in that space. We've worked with communities over the years to do cleanup and beautification projects. We have 3 full-time teachers on staff doing environmental education in schools, and have launched other initiatives, Project Green Fork and a food waste initiative. But what I want to talk about with you guys today is a tool that we've purchased that I believe can be very beneficial to the communities around the city if they're interested in getting a handle on litter in their communities, and also looking at data to drive better decisions around implementation and messaging. So we purchased an app called LITTERATI. It's a free app that anyone can download right now and begin using, but we purchased a license for it, and we'll talk a little bit about what that means. LITTERATI is a global litter intelligence platform powered by people. So this is really about engaging everybody and becoming citizen scientists and getting on the team to do research so that we are better informed about litter and we can make better decisions. You can go to the next slide, please. So LITTERATI is being used in over 185 countries right now. Next slide. So LITTERATI uses artificial intelligence and machine learning to identify and categorize litter. So essentially what that means, as I said, it's a free app. Anyone can download it right now. You create a profile and create the who. As you're doing a litter pickup, you photograph what you're collecting. The artificial intelligence and machine learning will identify the what of what you're collecting. Like it's a can, it's made of aluminum. It'll identify the brand. It'll identify if it's plastic, a bottle, and if it's PET plastic. It'll also geolocate it and timestamp it so that you have this really rich data to better understand what your litter is, where it's located, at what time of day, and it rolls up to a great dashboard that helps us inform what types of intervention and messaging strategies that would be beneficial to prevent litter. Next slide. So you use your phone to document and categorize litter, and then it rolls it to a dashboard that we see. Now, this is where the license comes in. We purchased the license from Memphis, which means that we can create local challenges, and we've done these over the past year. And anyone that downloads the app can join that challenge, and then we can track through, let's say it's with Brittany and we're doing a cleanup project in Orange Mound. We create a special project for Orange Mound. Everyone that's participating in that cleanup joins that cleanup project, and then we can see the data collection from that individual project. Next slide. It would look like this. You'll see the top contributors on the left-hand side. So if this was Team Orange Juice Orange Mound, you would see the top contributors on the left-hand side. And then on the right-hand side, we can see the types and the categories of litter being collected. This helps us understand where your pain points are. All this also rolls to a map so that we have it geolocated. So if you're on Park Avenue in Orange Mound, you can understand where the litter is accumulating. Do you need more trash receptacles there? Is it a particular type litter? Is it food packaging? Is it single-use water bottles? What is some messaging that we need to create that can target the community and engage around what are the solutions for prevention related to that? We've done a lot of projects over the past year. We did a launch with a Earth Day project citywide, had great participation of people downloading the app and using the app around the city doing data collection. We were able to do shout outs on social media. We gave people prizes, gift cards to restaurants and swag for participating. A great engagement tool as well as a great data collection tool. We just did one recently with parks. And promoted cleanup and love on a love your park sort of concept, and had great turnout with our park friends working in groups there. Again, with parks, it's to help them understand where their pain points are and where they may need to add infrastructure to support not having so much litter on the ground, and if the different types of litter, what kind of messaging strategies can we engage in that will help prevent that. Because we have the citywide license, we also have sub-licenses. So we're able to give licenses to other groups. We've given a license to Memphis City Beautiful, for example. They can create their own challenges. We're giving a license to the city parks. They can create their own challenges and use this to do research on their own. We have given a license to the Binghampton Development Corporation. They're taking a deep dive in their neighborhood to better understand the pain points there, and also to document where they have illegal dumping. So the app can be very helpful, again, in the data collection and also community engagement. We do have sub-licenses that we can share, again, with interested neighborhoods. So if you are someone that's a neighborhood leader or very engaged in or concerned about litter in your neighborhood, if you reach out to us, we're certainly happy to help create a special project using LITTERATI, get you used to it, familiarize yourself with it, collect the data, come back and evaluate the data together, try to determine intervention and messaging strategies that would be beneficial for your neighborhood. We've also given a sub-license to schools. We have 20 20 sub-licenses that we're sharing with schools so that they can use around their school campuses. And I would tell you, this has really been great. The students have done basically create a hypothesis around what they would find on their school campground or their school grounds and surrounding community. They went out and did the data collection and then came back and analyzed the data. They found they had a significant amount of single-use plastic water bottles and lobbied the administration at their school to get reusable water bottles. And so it's that kind of data collection, I think, for students that allows them to advocate then for change that we're looking for, not only in schools, but in communities. We've also used this tool with corporate partners, particularly during the pandemic when we couldn't have cleanup projects where people could gather. The app is something that you can download. We create a challenge for International Paper or for FedEx or Nike or whomever. They join that challenge and go wherever they want to as an individual or with family to do litter pickup, but all of it rolls up to the same dashboard that is their project. So we can track in the metrics for their team. So all of these challenges, all the work going on rolls up to one particular, the dashboard that we own. We have admin seats on that. So City Beautiful has an admin seat, the City of Memphis Public Works and the Office of Performance Management. That way we can see everything that's going on in the city, collect that data, and again, use it for messaging and intervention strategies. Next slide, please. So this is how we're using the tool in Memphis, really to identify problem areas, to allocate time more efficiently, particularly resources and time. We have cleanup crews that go out and clean up on airways and various other cities. You don't have to hit every area. If you know that you have 3 areas that are pain points, you can direct your resources more efficiently that way. We also want to be able to give this tool to communities to empower leaders to apply tactics and strategies to reduce litter in their neighborhood. It really helps you to have data to support what you're trying to do. We are inviting all Memphians to be citizen scientists and participate in data collection. We'll be launching a massive data collection project next year. And would love to have citizen science researchers on that team. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to us. And if you're interested in your neighborhood being one of a couple of selected neighborhoods to do a deep dive on data collection and analysis, please let us know. And then also leveraging data for strategies and partnerships and waste reduction recycling goals. I think it's important for us to understand that we only have about 20 years left on our landfill. We're producing a ton of waste. Waste production has gone up exponentially since the pandemic. With 20 years left on a landfill, nobody wants a landfill in their neighborhoods. We've got to do a better job of reducing the amount of waste that we're producing and also diverting that waste from a landfill and into recycling. So you'll see in the coming months more work coming out about how we can have source reduction waste, driving more into recycling. I know recycling's been crazy. It is working. Recycling is going on. We just took a group of 30 teachers to the recycling MRF here locally where they could see the process going. Of course, the recycling process was disrupted during the pandemic with staffing shortages. So you probably saw that, and there are still hiccups getting the hauling back on, but recycling is going. And we need to make sure that we're all participating and doing that accurately and being engaged in a solution since that our landfill only has so much time left. Next slide, please. So we have some goals for this year. We're looking to have at least 5,000 app downloads. We're well on our way to that. We're working to pilot strategies in 3 to 5 neighborhoods. We're doing right along the track with doing our litter education in schools, and then we'll be launching our citizen. That actually pushed that until spring to launch the citizen science research project. So anyway, I'm hoping that there is some interest in working with us on this research project. And getting this tool to your community to help you guys do the research you need to improve the litter situation in our communities, and have data to help inform better decisions and strategies for intervention and messaging. And that's all I have. Thanks again for having me today. I'll be glad to answer questions at the end of the presentations.
Thank you very much, Janet. And I actually heard Janet do this presentation, well, I think an abbreviated version of this presentation a couple of weeks ago, and was really intrigued by, and I think the statistic that she mentions about that we will run out of landfill space in, did I hear you say how many
20 years.
20 years, which there's some people who are here that I'm sure will still be around, but whether you are or not, we are taking up space for the next generation. And so we have really got to get a handle on litter. I see there are a couple of people on from Memphis City Beautiful. And as Janet mentioned, Memphis used to be one of the cleanest cities in America. And unfortunately, I don't think that we have held that title for a while. So I think it's great what you're talking about doing. And it seems like this sort of lends itself to sort of virtual cleanups in a sense that now, we are accustomed to everyone, sort of meeting up and sending people out. So now it's just like, wherever you are, you pick up stuff and, and we're able to see what you got.
Exactly. It was a real benefit during the pandemic. You can go out on your own or go out with your family. And so it's great. And so I know the landfill situation is really critical. Nashville only has 7 years left on their landfill. So they're really, pushing waste diversion and circular economy. And we're really pushing that conversation here. We don't want to wait to get started on that. It takes a little while to turn that bus around. And so we need to get busy now. Anyway, I think this is a great tool for people to use in communities, and we're excited to help share that with everyone.
Do you know, or are we able to find out how many people in Memphis may have downloaded the app? Yeah,
I think we have about 500 people that have downloaded the app. So, and it's really, we have some top users already. We have a gentleman that actually has won we did Earth Day and we did a Parks Challenge, and he picked up the most, like something like 2,000 pieces of litter himself on that one weekend. So it's a great engagement tool. The kids love it. It's a way of gamification for some people. And then for us, it's the data collection that's beneficial. We'll be working with City Beautiful as well. They do a ton of work in this space, and they have their 901 Keep It Clean campaign. And I know Eldra and I are going to work together on using Literati to engage more people, to get more people out there. And so, and hopefully to use that data again. The other part of this is cleanup is frustrating because you clean it up and it's right back. So a lot of this is to really drive data around prevention. And I know that's, really important for us and very important for Eldra and the work they're doing with Memphis Beautiful.
All right. Well, Janet, if you'll hang around, and as I mentioned, If you have a question, enter it in the Q&A, or enter it in the chat if you want to. Thanks, Janet. We're going to now move on to Kate. Kate, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Beverly. Thank you for inviting me. Super excited to be here to share about our work at the Center for Transforming Communities. For those who may not know us, Center for Transforming Communities is a place-based organization that has been operating here in Memphis for a couple of years, and just working and supporting communities to be agents of holistic transformation of their own communities. But recently in 2021, we realized that Memphis, we really need a better public health agenda. And we have started working around a new model that we call the Just Change. This slide has like just economic growth. It just has like really quick, the change is an acronym for climate, health, arts and culture, new generation, and then growth, which is economic growth anyway, and then education. So those are the 6 areas that we're trying to focus on now with the work that we're doing with several communities. I thought I would give you that background. Now, I've been asked to share about our work in Binghampton. And that work is focused on the just economic growth lever that I just talked about, where we're trying to focus on equitable economics for underprivileged communities, to ensure that there is affordable housing, and also introduce other community wealth building tools, especially for those communities that are really underprivileged and underserved. Next slide. So before I talk about the work in Binghampton, I just wanted to give you a quick overview of what a community land trust is. And we have a short video coming up.
Community land trusts, or CLTs, are nonprofit organizations that acquire, own, and steward land permanently for the common good. The most common CLT land use is housing, but retail, office, and a variety of other uses are possible. CLTs give formal decision-making voice and power to local community residents in determining land uses. Here's how CLTs make home buying affordable for families in their communities. First, the CLT builds or buys homes using one-time public or private investment. Next, the CLT sells just the home to a low-income buyer who qualifies for a mortgage, and the CLT keeps the land, holding it in trust for future generations of home buyers. In return for being able to buy a home at a discounted price, the family agrees to pay it forward and sell to another low-income family at a price they can afford. The CLT manages the sales process, ensuring that each home-buying family builds some wealth from a predetermined, limited amount of the sales proceeds. In this way, the one-time public or private investment in CLT homes makes lasting affordability a reality and stabilizes communities. And CLTs benefit the larger community too, as they preserve and protect housing for long-term residents, helping to build stronger, safer, and higher quality diverse neighborhoods, contributing to greater educational attainment, employment opportunities, and health outcomes. Visit groundedsolutions.org to learn more about CLTs today.
Next slide, please. Yeah, so when that slide comes up, so the land trust conversation came through the process that we engage communities. So we engage communities in three ways. We start by building, what we call the build stage, where we organize community members to get together to know each other and build those strong relationships. And then we get to the process where we call the build, where communities start looking at what is great for their neighborhoods, what impact projects they want to have in the community. And then the third stage, which is develop, is that we utilize those impact projects for economic development of those communities. Now, so the community land trust really is a lot of work. It involves a lot of, it's just like spinning a lot of plates, but I just wanted to talk about these three. So it involves fundraising, a lot of fundraising, like you had in the video, money especially to buy land and also to buy properties. It also includes the home buyer preparation part, where really most of our homeowners that are coming into the community land trust are first home buyers, and they have never owned a home. So we really prepare them, and we do that through partnerships, as we'll learn later. And then the property acquisition and also the maintenance part, that you also have to train those new property owners. Next slide. So really, this is almost a summary of what the video did. I won't dwell on it, but I just wanted to highlight a few key pieces if you can be able to read it. So how does the community land trust work? It's just, so a resident buys land, buys a home, but the land beneath it belongs to the community land trust, and it stays that way. And then at some point of time, this resident, if they want to sell the land, the house on top of it, they can sell the property, but then the land remains the property of the community land trust. And one important aspect around that is a ground lease, and this is an instrument or a tool that is used to ensure that the resale of the home is done through a formula that maintains the affordability of the home, so that the next person who buys this home finds it also affordable, and we perpetuate that for generations. So generally, the community of Binghampton, are not only Binghampton, but CLTs generally, they consider people who are around the 80% to 120 AMI as low income and middle income families that could really benefit from this model of the community land trust. And on the left, I think there is something that how is it governed? Land trusts are usually governed by like a tripartite board that includes a third members of the community land trust. A third will be just residents or who are interested in that neighborhood, and then a third is going to be like experts and other stakeholders that want to see this neighborhood get better with affordable home ownership. Next slide. So yeah, so now the Binghampton Community Land Trust is what I would want to share about today. So through the process that I mentioned before, once we had started building all these great relationships with the community, CTC organizes what we call community voice meetings. And by saying voice, we really our mission is to make sure that we create neighborhood democracies. We must make sure that the voice of the communities is at the center of everything that we do. So, and one of our other, what we always aspire for, like our principle is that we never do for community what they do for themselves, meaning that we always just join what they're doing, what they aspire for their communities. So we just help support their dreams. So on these days, just like that group of, as you can see, very diverse people. For those of you who may not know, for a long time, Binghampton was one of the most diverse neighborhoods in Memphis. And we found out that was not only just Memphis, but like the whole of Tennessee. And unfortunately, that's beginning to change. But this community, as you can see them got together and came in their meetings and started voicing things that they were seeing in the neighborhoods. And one of the issues that came out was that they are beginning to see like the housing landscape of Binghampton start to change. The neighborhood had started to change, and they were very worried that the diversity that they enjoy was also going to get impacted in one way or another. In other words, they started worrying about how affordable the houses were going to be for everybody. And they just didn't want to lose anybody to just the development that was coming into the community. So they had a goal that they were going to welcome development, but ensure that nobody is displaced because somebody wants to make money in Binghampton. So they thought, how can we do that? So a lot of conversations until they said, let's try community land trust. So we started working on that in 2018, it was incorporated. And this group of folks that you see here have done a lot of work. And community land trust, indeed, there's a difference when you say land trust and when you add in community, it means that really, really the community has to be passionate about this model for it to work. Next slide. So I can almost hear yes. So this house here is 2538 Oxford Street. I used to be an old-time resident's house who died. And when he passed away, over the years, this house stood in the community as it looks like, because the family was not ready to take on the costs of repairs. But the group of residents that I just showed you were very active in seeing what's going on in the community. They would go around actually and do like an inventory of homes like these that are blighted. And they would work with code enforcement to report things like this that would go unattended for a long time. They did looked at the housing stock in the community, and they also watched what was happening around the realtors and people who were coming in the neighborhood. Those signs that you know very well, sell me your house, you can buy a house, they were beginning to crop in Binghampton, and it was causing a lot of worry. So what happened is that these community members went to the city and went to code enforcement and said, we want to see if we can, take away this blight and then see if we can use the lot for a house for the community land trust. So the process went on for a long time until the family members were like, yes, we agree. And we started moving in motion. Long story short, community land trusts are supported a lot by subsidy. That's the only way you can make the house affordable. So you heard me say that the land trust keeps the land beneath the house, and then the new owner owns the land on top of the house. But to own that house and for it to be affordable, there has to be some subsidies, a lot of subsidies that go in that. Other than taking out the land, because I think land accounts for 20 to 50% of the cost of a house. So we approached other stakeholders, the friends, and a bank in Millington, actually Patriot Bank, was willing to give us money after code really condemned this house, and they said they're going to tear it down. court gave us the money to buy the land that was beneath that house. So that started the whole process of moving. Next slide. Yes, the house went away. And like I said, we community land trusts use a lot of, to get the subsidy that you have, we had to be very, very creative in the ways that we're trying to build this house. So with the support of United Housing, we got to get this awesome companies called Urban Equity with Self Over Self in Binghampton. They have a unique model where they use volunteers to do the construction of the house, and then they just outsource like people to do electricals, somebody to do like air conditioning and other stuff that these volunteers cannot do. But you can see them on the right-hand side. They're building the walls of the house. So we did the wall raising, and in the center picture, it's a picture that has, you can't see them, but these are a lot of folks that came to us when we had raised the walls to launch this house. They included all the partners that we had that brought us to this point, including, I think there's Dr. Paul Young, City of Memphis. We had United Housing, we had NPI giving us the technical expertise, and we had all these other residents and neighbors come to celebrate that the walls of this house had gone up. And on the far right, those are the Self Over Self volunteers. These are youth in the summer that come to help out. They did a great job to help us paint. And then next we had this wonderful house opening, and went there, people came and looked at it. And these last two pictures really are my best pictures. In this picture, there's a family that owns the house. That house is now finished. And that was the day that they closed up on that house. So as you hear, this is a story, it's a long story. It took a lot of time, a lot of sweat equity from all these people that would come to do whenever we would invite them to come and help us to have this dream come true for this young family here. So on the next slide. So this is now 2538 Oxford Street. It's how it looks like. So we're really, really celebrating this as our first home for Binghampton. And like I said, the land trust, just with resources that the community had, we've been really, really moving slow, but we believe that right now the land trust movement is catching up on Memphis, and we hope we're going to get more people interested in this, banks, and even we're still also trying to see if we can get a lot of federal funding just to put it into the money and make this house affordable for this house. So the great news about this house is that it costs $156,000 to build it, plus the $2,500 that we used to, $25,000 we used to buy the land. But at the end of the day, the new owners in this house have bought this house $110,000. So when you do the math, this house has gotten a subsidy of $71,000 that this low-income family that was earning around $20,000 annually is able now to call home. We are very, very excited about it. It just sits across our home at Center for Transforming Communities. We just can't wait for the pandemic to go away so that we can see the family enjoy the home. But most importantly, we're excited that if this family ever decides to sell this home, they will have to sell it at a price that is affordable to the other house, to the other family that moves in. In other words, the subsidy of the $71,000 has to stay with this home, but the family will still gain some equity from that. I mean, a lot of people are always concerned about how much equity or how much assets this family is going to build in a community land trust house, but there is. And then most important of all is that we keep on making a difference one family at a time. Last slide. So with these conversations, we've also started hearing people say, hey, how can we start a community land trust? Would love to do this work in other neighborhoods. So we're considering starting our citywide community land trust. And already we have all these partners that we have approached the land banks about all the vacant lots that are in the city. How can we transform them into better use? Neighborhood Preservation Inc. It has been working with us, providing the legal and technical expertise. Then we have emerging developers in Memphis that we really feel we need to give the opportunity, especially if they're in the neighborhood where we're going to start a community land trust. We would want those developers, the upcoming ones, to be the one to work on those homes and get the expertise that they need. Then Grounded Solutions, you saw the video, is one of the long-standing land trust giving technical expertise. Along the way, we've been working with their consultants to help us do things like the resale formula. It's a lot of things that are going to a land trust that we don't have time to discuss here. And then United Housing, of course, it provided great even home buyer education for the family that has gone in this home and the other aspiring ones, because we really don't want people to get into home ownership when they really don't know what it takes. Then Building Memphis is interested in joining the movement, ULI, the local banks residents, and then we have SPARK, that is our national partner, that is actually supporting the work that we're doing around feasibility studies in several neighborhoods to see if the community land trust is really going to work for them or if they need to use other wealth building models. And then Realtors, and then the Blight Authority of Memphis. Now, I've put here Dominique Anderson is also a colleague of mine that's actually is working over the land trust and putting all this together for the several neighborhoods that we're working with. You can contact me or you can contact Dominique. So thank you so much. I just have this quote that I really like, that never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Margaret Mead. So we believe in that at CTC, and we try to support everybody who is trying to change their communities for the better. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much, Kate. I think, you closed just on the right quote, because that's one of my favorites too. And I think that that's the common theme through what both you, Brittany, and Janet have talked about. Oftentimes I think we we don't want to start because we think it's going to require a lot just to get something done. But, Brittany has said, just, nickels and dimes and spare change. You all, just a matter of people coming together, and as Janet is talking about, each of us just going out and doing our part as it relates to picking up trash, it will make a difference. So I just really, the way that you all have connected together, I think really, talks about the movement that we hope that we can see in Memphis, and that the work that you all will do will continue to mushroom. We've got about 5 minutes left. So if anybody, if you've got questions, please enter them. I'm going to see if any of our speakers have any parting words while we're waiting on the chat or the Q&A. Brittany, Janet, or Kate, do you all have any parting comments you want to leave everyone with?
Just thank you for being here, and appreciate the time and the work that everybody does. And we're certainly here to work with anyone and help provide resources and tools to do the work. We often say that we don't do things for people, we help people do their thing. So we're here for that and would love to support any community across the city. Thanks for having us.
And I just want to also mention that Whitney Williams, who's the program manager for the Urban Art Commission, wants everybody to know that they have blight out funding. I know neighborhood organizations are always looking for funding, and this, you can utilize that on city properties around the city, whether you are an artist, community activist, or just someone who wants to learn more. And if you're interested in engaging with them, you can contact Whitney. She's put her information in the chat, but she's whitney@uacmem.org. Urban Art Commission, another great organization. Lots of public art out there. Probably most of the murals that you see around the city of Memphis can be credited to the Urban Arts Commission. And I see there's one new message. Just everybody's just thanking everyone for the great information. I want to say I learned one thing that I did not know today, and that was from Kate. I did not know that you could own a house and not own the land. So that was very interesting to me. And since there weren't other questions, I did want to ask, was it very difficult to find a buyer, given that, you know, the homeowners weren't going to own the, you know, the entire process like we're used to, you know, we own the land and the home. Was that a challenge at all?
Well, it wasn't a challenge because first off, the group that you saw in that picture, most of them are neighbors that really wanted a home. What was difficult for us is to decide who should take the home. So we came out with a with a selection process like 3 tiers. And the first tier is that somebody has to be maybe earning just like below 80% AMI. They have to be residents for Binghampton for the last 5 years. They must be a part of that group or the community land trust group or being civically engaged in other ways. So, and the second, they would have 3 points. And the second tier was that somebody must have lived in Binghampton for at least 2 years, must be having like an AMI of 120 or more. That's like moderate income. And they also must be civically engaged. And the last tier was just, it could be just a child of a resident of Binghampton. So trying to come up with that selection criteria, because already we had over 8 families interested in the first house that we've had. And just like I said, we started on this work in 2007 and we just had the first house. So the criteria for choosing who to take the house was the difficult part, but having people who are willing to buy that house is now, we just still have those 7 families lined up.
You said you have 7 families already lined up for, okay. And do you have other properties that you're already in the process of developing?
Yeah, just like I said, you know, having that, the Binghampton, our house come up was like, it has opened up opportunities. We have had the CRA come to us and say, we have 5 properties in Binghampton that we can give to you. And they're working on cleaning them up, you know, it's always the titles and all that work that goes into them. We've had residents say, I'm willing to donate my land to the community land trust. So we're seeing, it's going in a direction where we'll probably be able to have maybe develop more than 3 houses in a year, the next year. So it's exciting.
Well, I saw the article, I think earlier this year about what you all were doing and just really thought it was fascinating. So I want to, you know, commend you for the work that you all are doing and sort of creating a new model, as well as Brittany for Orange Mound is very dear to me. I consider myself an honorary Orange Mound person. So anytime Orange Mound is doing something, it's always exciting. So I look forward to hearing more about what's going on in Orange Mound, as well as about LITTERATI. Someone did ask if the recording would be sent and if you could access it. Actually, you don't just have to wait on this one. There are already the 3 previous sustainable neighborhood sessions are already online. So I think Kim has entered that in the chat. If you will, just go to the MOGW.com, click on community and public education program. You can find all of the previous sessions. This one will probably, it usually takes us a few days to get it processed and get it up. If you are registered, we will send you the link. So if you're somebody who was registered for the session, we already have your contact information and we'll send it out. Otherwise, you can just wait till we post it at the public education program page. It is 5:01. And so we're not gonna take any more of your time. I'm gonna turn it back over to my boss, to Gail Joan Carson, to see if she has anything that she wants to add before we get out of here.
Bill, I really don't have anything else to add other than I do want to thank 3 fabulous speakers, and you all provided us, and especially me, with some information that I wasn't aware of, and I read everything. So, but I missed some of what you all talked about, and I appreciate you sharing this information and hoping that you all will continue to be successful with your programs. Thank you so much for being with us today.
And also just want to thank Kim Bonds for her work in pulling this together, and Don Murphy, who is helping us out on Facebook Live and the chat as well. And we could not do this at all without Darren Sharp and Nathan Smith, who are our techies. So thanks for their work as well. And again, Janet, Brittany, and Kate, like Gail said, just appreciate you all so much for taking time, and we wish you all much success.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
All right, we're out.